Let's bring in Warren Hogan, Economic Advisor at Judo Bank. Warren, has the RBA got the right move here heading into summer?
Yeah, g'day, Kieran. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the debate was whether they went 25 or 50. I think they've decided to keep with the 25s. As Ross just mentioned, they've had the better inflation number, although I think they too will treat that with caution. The reality is they're going to grind out 25s until they're comfortable that they've got the economy back into balance. And the key balance is in the labour market. And that gets back to the issue you were just talking about, and that's wages. And wages are rising. At the moment, it's okay, but there's momentum and the trajectory is not great, particularly with unemployment at 50-year lows. So that IR bill is not going to make life any easier for the RBA. It's not going to make it any easier to get wages stabilised at 3 to 4. So, look, I think the RBA sent a very strong signal, more rate hikes to come. And as I've been saying to you and your viewers for many months now, is I think we'll be lucky if the cash rate doesn't get above 4 before this is all done. I mean, it's at 4 in the US, it's over 4 in New Zealand, it's going to be at 4 in Canada in the next few days. So, we've still got a fair way to go on this.
And one of the issues with it is that it is such a blunt instrument. We spoke about that lag effect. A lot of the mortgage holders on fixed mortgages, Warren, when they come off them, they face a rude shock, and the RBA is trying to balance that out. Are they seeing all of the tightening that will happen over coming months?
Yeah, well, part of the issue they've got is because there are more fixed than usual because rates were so low in the pandemic, policy's not having the same impact now because people aren't getting hit because they're on fixed rates. We've heard of cliffs many times over the years, and that they rarely amount to much, and that's because people anticipate it. They're ready for it. We shouldn't underestimate how ready people will be for this. And the reality is, most people, as of the start of this tightening cycle earlier this year, hadn't actually reduced their payments for years. There was something like 40% of mortgage holders who were still paying like pre-pandemic levels of interest rates on their mortgages. So I think we've got to be very careful trying to worry about a sudden decline in economic activity and a disaster in the economy, when the real risk we face is if we don't nip this in the bud, we're going to have a big problem down the track, and we are going to have to put the economy into recession. And that's exactly what we're seeing in other markets like New Zealand and the US. I think the Reserve Bank's got the balance right now, but I think it's way too early, and I think they're signalling this, to think about cash rate peaking out. We will get a response, but they have to get the right response. Getting rid of inflation is priority number one. We are trying to make a trade-off here, but you can see in the UK, Europe, US, they're not trading off anymore. They're getting rid of inflation and they're forecasting recessions. We don't want to get to that point, but it does require the RBA to be concerted in what they're doing. And I think 25 is okay, but I think a 50 would have been, I think, a stronger statement to the community that they're dead serious about this.
One of the key factors in inflation at the moment in that environment as we look into next year is the energy price shock. We spoke about the wage impact. Energy's a big one too, obviously, Warren.
It's huge, and it's a distinguishing factor for Australia with the rest of the world, where many countries have already been hit by the global increase in energy costs. Because of the structures in our energy market, it's only hitting us now, and it'll get worse, whereas in other countries it's actually easing back a bit. So it's a double-edged sword. It'll be inflationary. It'll give people a more reason to ask for higher wages to cover this increased cost of their bills. But at the same time, it's going to hurt the economy. It's going to hurt manufacturing. It's going to crimp spending for lower and middle income earners. And this is where the government's got a huge challenge right now with trying to get this package right, because they do need to provide support to the most vulnerable in the community, to low-income earners and to smaller businesses, in my view. But we've also got to take into consideration that if the economy is running too hot and there is this excess demand for labour, we know there's shortages out there still, that higher energy costs will translate into people asking for higher wages, and it's inflationary. And there is no trade-off in the long run between inflation and anything. And inflation has to be addressed first and foremost.